Hi everyone, I'm Paloma Escobedo and my resource is the Go Guide. So this is a web application to help bridge resources to students on campus. So a little bit of context, I ended up starting this project back in 2025 spring semester with a design thinking cohort. So we're a group of 6 and we ended up taking a 1-hour credit and we developed this idea based off of design thinking process. So what that is 6 steps, empathize, to kind of understand the community that needs this, whatever you're going to develop, right? And then you have to define a problem that the community has, right? And then you ideate and go ahead and create ideas and different things that you want to understand to better help the community you're serving. Then you prototype it and test it, and lastly you implement it. So this process is very non-linear. You have to kind of go through it as you are, and once you do that, you'll be able to kind of figure out what's the best solution for your audience. So you always have to go back to the empathize phase to make sure that your solution can actually better help the community you're helping. So we decided that the problem was that there's so many resources on campus, but they go underutilized because there's a communication breakdown. This basically means that there's so many resources, but if you're a freshman, you don't necessarily know what you don't know, right? So if there's things on campus that you would love to be a part of, but you just don't know it exists yet, it's harder to find those. So the most affected people of this problem is first generation and transfer students, because first generation, first of all, makes up 1/3 of Hilltoppers, and because of that, it's a large population of school. And they don't have the experience of family members who have been at a university or campus before. They don't realize that there's so many opportunities here because they don't have people to tell them, right? They're starting everything from scratch. And transfer students aren't here during freshman orientation, aren't here during those developmentally helping moments in our career in St. Edward's, so they don't understand all the resources available to them because they are coming from a different university. So my solution is a dynamic resource hub called the Go Guide. And my ultimate goal is to help make these resources easier to find anytime a student needs it, no matter what age or level in their academic career. So freshman through senior. So let's go through our demo. So this is the Go Guide. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. So initially when you go to the website, you get a main landing page which has all the tags out there. We decided to implement tags because it's a lot easier for new students to think of a word rather than a department, right? Especially if they haven't been here before. It's a lot easier to look at it and be like, oh, accommodations, and then go and find the resource they need, right? There's also the most viewed resources. I have sorted the top 6 based on how many people use the website. So as people continue to use this website, it is very dynamic. The whole point of it is so that these resources are relevant and they appear when students need them. So if the alumni gym is the most popular, then that's the one that first appears on this page. There's also different ways to view these resources. So you can view all the tags. Right now we have 153 implemented. And you can scroll through, and if you can't think of anything, you can scroll through and you can find something right here. So I'm looking for the library. So typically when you're doing this, you can kind of find different things, and there you go. Once you find the library, you can find the resource, and it has a summary that is created by students to help generalize what this resource does for the community. So it just helps you gain more information without actually having to look for all the different resources on campus and even through the main website to find where these things are and how to use them. And then immediately you can go and schedule something to either be a part of the communities or you can learn more about it. So it can redirect you to different main pages on the website with even more in-depth information. And it also has location, email, so if you're a more in-person direct communicator, you can also email people, and they have their Instagram, which is there. And then on the bottom right here are all the tags that are associated with this resource. So the library has books, library, study space, research, and databases. And then let's say you're a senior, right? You kind of already know where everything is. You can go to departments and you can immediately find, oh, okay, campus ministry. And then you can find all the resources that are implemented for campus ministry. And then also, if the information is not up to date yet, or if you know more about this resource, you can suggest an update. And this basically is collecting more information on these resources, which then an admin can go approve, and then it can be in the future it will be on the website. So an example of this would be if an admin comes in to sign in. Typically, we would want our admins to be students because, again, this is a student-based resource, so we want those summaries to be from student perspectives. So this is our admin page. We have a dashboard with all the different things you need, so departments, location, tags, and suggestions, and then a lot of information based on what's in our database currently. So right now we have about 54 resources. Even though this website has only been up since Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we already have 139 views. And that's just from people that I've sent it out to who I thought would have interest in. And we also have 21 incomplete resources, which basically means they don't have a description or tags along with it. So in order for it to be fully on the website, immediately you need to have a description that is created by a student. So an example of this is our residence assistant. They're a really good resource, but if you want to view it, you can go in and you can edit. Let's say residence assistants also are students. So then you can go in, separate it with the comma, capitalize it, and then update it. And so once you're on the website, you can go in and you can look up students. Let's refresh that. And look, ours appeared. So back to our admin site, you can also go to different departments. You can add new departments. And also once you click on the departments that are already there, you can see all the resources in that department. So if you have a department in mind that you know belongs to this a resource in mind that you know belongs to this department, you can add it here, or you can say, hey, that one doesn't really support, and delete it there. Same thing with locations. Like we can see that the library has quite a few resources, and then you can go in and edit those resources as well. And the same thing with tags. Tags are a little bit more unique. You can implement a tag kind of whenever. It doesn't necessarily need to have a resource predefined. Like it doesn't need to be already in the database first. You can think of the word, let's say fun, and already put it in the resource. Let's say wild basin. Then you can assign it. And then when you look for fun later, it's there, and it has the resource wild basin along with it. Also for suggestions, again, like when students or anybody who knows more about this resource wants to put more information in the site, you can go through the suggestions. So this is one that I already pre-made. I can review it. And then it has the resource that we already need and all the information already pre-set up. The only difference with this though is that you do need to have a student written description before it can be published on the main site. So that's what I already have here. And this is just more about the living learning communities and the honors program. And then you can go and create the resource, and it will be updated on the site. So that is my demo of the GOAT guide so far, what we have completed, but it is an ongoing process. We are still collecting information for these resources on campus. So the potential impact for this is more students can be aware of these resources, and then they can in turn use them, right? Which helps with retention solely because when you're a senior, you don't necessarily have you don't have these programs already created for you, right? You had already experienced them when you were a freshman. So if you're interested in an experience and you kind of don't know where to look for, you can go onto the website and find it more easily. So the goal is to get more students using these resources for campus. So because I created this for the community, I kind of would like you guys to scan the QR code. It takes you directly to the site, and I created this site mobile friendly, so anytime you are on any devices, when you're walking around campus, it's a lot easier to just pull it up on your phone than it is to take out your computer. So you can scan in and then open the resource, so you can go ahead and look at it on your own. And again, all those things that I've implemented during this demo are there. So like if you look up the fun tag, it should already be up there. And if you have any other suggestions, you can add them in our form. And I want to give a special thank you to Dr. Johnson and Prof. G and my team with Joe and Diana. We've been working on this for about a year, and it took a lot of effort and time to get this to the point it is. And all of the resources that we have on campus that we've described, we went to each department and personally asked them, right? So these are the most polished they could be because we went out of our way to make sure they were. And I wanted to also thank, because of that, our stakeholders who came to our meetings and were willing to share their feedback, which really makes the Go Guide what it is today. Thank you.
So thank you, Paloma and Joe and Diana, for this amazing resource. This is so wonderful. I'm going to use it too. But I would like to invite Ruby up here to say a few words about Paloma. I'll grab this.
Okay, yeah. No, like Paloma said, this has been over a 1.5 year project and process. And I know based on where we ended last spring, they had 4 ideas that they had prototyped and wanted to pursue, and this is the culmination of a lot of those. And so also Joe's here, Diana already graduated, but they just on their own wanted to continue working on this project, and so continued in this fall. And Paloma, that's when she really did most of the development of the hub, and Joe did a lot of the communication work, and Diana did the wireframing and stuff, right? Yeah. But just the this is obviously something that they were very passionate about, and then you especially, because you continued it and wanted to do it for your thesis. And I think it's just going to be a great resource. So if y'all have feedback for them, give it to them. I know Clint and Jason have been a part of this as well. But just so super proud of you, and it's just beautiful, and it is so seamless. I mean, Paloma did all of that. She developed the entire thing, and I think that admin piece is really cool too. That was a newer development. Yes. So we're sad to have you graduate, but happy for you. And I wanted to just give a shout out. She already has a job secured. Thrivent, right? Thrivent Financial Associate. So, congratulations. And here's your, I don't like talking on the microphones. Here you go. Congratulations. Good job. Very pretty. Yes.
Is there any questions in the room, or even comments on what you viewed? Yes.
When you were a freshman, did you experience that communication gap that you
So for me, I was actually in an LLC. I was in the Honors LLC, which is kind of why I'm here. But I didn't necessarily have this much of a drastic change, but my sister did, because she came here on campus during COVID. So she was actually home and looking for resources online that she could use. And there's a lot of different stories like that where you need another alternative way to find resources to really stay engaged with your community. Yes?
I have a question for you. How can the community, the admin side of the university, start to help you expand on this?
Yes, so this is kind of what we've been talking about all semester, but as long as we gain more resources, we get more of those feedback on it, then we can really get a push from more administration, to really keep this going. Right now, it's hosted from the CS side, right? We have our droplet from my department, and that's how we really got our start. So it is all locally with that IP. It is not accessible any other way except for that IP and this QR code. So my hope for this is that it can continue on, and eventually there'll be more and more resources so that it can actually be all-inclusive of what St. Edward's has to offer, because there's so many wonderful resources on campus. Yes.
Talk a little bit more, you mentioned it, just so everyone understands, why is it so important that students are the ones writing the descriptions in the hub?
So students need to write these descriptions because it's a lot harder. If you have an admin who is not a student, who doesn't really understand the language, or if they have technical jargon that they've already experienced, so there's a lot of departmental jargon that students don't need to know nor want to know, and these resources are a lot easier to find these things from simple words like fun and food, rather than a lot of other resources. But it's just a lot more straightforward to actively find these, especially when you're walking around campus. You can go through the locations tab and find different things near you. So if you have a spare 30 minutes of time, you can go look at a resource or go do something more productive rather than just kind of wait around for class. But yeah, students are creating these resources and specifically the descriptions so that they can help their peers find them, right? If you used a resource, it's a lot easier for you to describe it, and then through word of mouth or even the site, you can share it with other people, so then it can be more used. And then if it's more used, there's more funding for that resource, and the university as a whole will just get better. Yes?
Is there a way to include, like, since you mentioned fun, short-term things like, on April 22nd, there's this, international food festival?
Yeah, so right now we just have a tag for, or I think it's student orgs, so you can go through that and it'll have different things occurring. But what the suggestion bar is really for is so you can get your resource updated. So if there's something that is more relevant, you can put like a timestamp and, oh, this is on Thursday, we want more people, and we can actually promote it to one of the top. So like right now, we have the alumni gym promoted to the top, and that's because a lot of people are using that resource. Ooh. So we can put it right here and we can actually put the date on it. So whenever you're viewing it as a user, you can be like, oh my gosh, that's happening this week and it's near me, let's go, right? And then you can better access this resource, and hopefully more students come to enjoy the different things on campus. Yes?
How does the searching work currently on the main search bar? Does it always have to be about the tag?
So, no, not always, but it does help. Typically it is for, it immediately searches for words. So if you have something that starts with an A, all the A things should show up. And then if you have a full tag, like crafts, it's a lot easier to say, hey, crafts makerspace, and then it's immediate. But again, like once we get more words in our system, right now we only have 123. Once we get more tags, then it's going to be a lot easier to find these resources because they're going to have more tags connected to them. And then again, like if you have micro words or like half words, when you're starting to write the thing, it should appear.